what you're gonna get, guys. So, there we go. Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here. Welcome to another opening night. I'm gonna put my regular glasses on for this because I cannot do it. I cannot see through these glasses. I'm Arnold. I'm still in these movies. Okay, so as you guys have probably seen, I got an early screening this time around. It doesn't come out for, I think, about a week or something now here in America, North America. It came out in the UK, but I saw a special screening of it. I just got out of Terminator Dark Fate, the 6th installment of the Terminator franchise. Now, if you guys saw my social media posts, I put out a little picture of me just going like this. And I'll explain why. So, if you guys don't know, I'm a big fan of the Terminator movies. I watched them, obviously, when I was a kid. I saw Terminator 2 first. I saw, the first one and everything. But here's my basic kind of opinions on all 5 so far, once we get up to 6. I really enjoyed the first one. I like the first 2. I think actually 1 is better than 2. I do like the first one a lot. It's a great, gritty, hard R 80s sci-fi movie, and it's great. Michael Biehn's fantastic. Linda Hamilton's hot as hell. Arnold is badass. It's great. I hate what they're doing with the fucking Blu-rays right now, where they're changing the sound effects and shit. They're doing the same thing with Batman 89. Hate the Blu-rays, but I always stick with the original mono mix. Terminator 2. A great sequel, one of the best sequels ever made. In fact, if you want to see my opinion of it, go link down below to my review of Terminator 2 3D that they re-released a few years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I like Terminator 2. It is a bigger scale than the first film, which does kind of make it fall flat a little bit. I feel like because it was just too big, it's overplaying the first film. So that's always been me. In fact, people don't even think of the first movie. They instantly, when you say Terminator, oh, Terminator 2. And you're like, well, where the hell's the first one? It's like, yeah, people forget about the first one. But I do like the second one. Love Edward Furlong. Love everybody in that. T-1000 is fantastic. Great sequel. Terminator 3, I do actually can defend a little bit, even though it is repeating the second film. I think it has some very interesting ideas. I think the idea that Judgment Day is inevitable, which pretty much means we're making 1 billion of these now. But, the idea is like, hey, you tried and you still can't stop it. You can't stop what is to come. There is a destiny placed with John Connor, and, and even the ending is, I actually really enjoy the ending to the third film, because it's like, holy shit, the machines are finally taking over, we're fucked. It's great. But I really enjoy the third one. And also, I do like the suspense. I do like the effects. Even though a lot of it is CG, there is some practical stuff. It's Stan Winston still doing a great job. Hell, I'll even put it in here. My personal favorite Terminator 3, because there's now, 3 of these now? My favorite Terminator 3 is the Terminator 3D ride at Universal Studios. It's no longer around. And it's funny, because a lot of people wonder, why the hell did they close down Terminator 2 3D at Universal Florida? Well, in Hollywood, they closed it down because it was just, they didn't want to do it anymore, and they wanted to do Despicable Me. Florida was an interesting reason. It wasn't because they didn't want to keep it around. It was still a popular ride, but the reason they took out Terminator 2 3D was because when Cameron was getting the rights back and making this movie, they wanted to cut their losses and they didn't want to get sued, so they had to close it because of legal reasons. So, sad, but that's just the way things work in the business. So, I love Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time. That, to me, was the third film. A perfect way for Cameron to end it. But yeah, I do like Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, and I do like T2 3D. Terminator Salvation, I think, is very underrated. I think Terminator Salvation, because you gotta remember, it was originally supposed to be part of a trilogy they were gonna do, and that was gonna be originally titled Terminator Salvation: The Future Begins. So the Terminator, the Salvation trilogy, as you will. And I think that's the direction they should have gone. They should have gone with the future war, because that's what we've been asking for since the third film. And in that sense, I like it. I like there's no Arnold, well, at least kind of. Christian Bale's great as John Connor. Sam Worthington's great. It's a good sequel, and it's a great follow-up to the last 3 films. And I just feel like if we had kept going with that version, we could have gotten more of the future war with the purple lasers and the time travel and shit, and you could have ended it with Kyle Reese going back to 1984. Had they had continued it there, I think it would have been a much more... The franchise would have been a little higher up. And then we get to Genesys. I flat out skipped out on that one in theaters because all I heard it was fucking shit, and I didn't see it until I saw it on home video or Netflix. They were right! It's a bad movie, but it does have some interesting things. I think everything with the future war is fantastic. Everything there is great. Once Kyle Reese goes back in time, the movie sucks. The rest of the movie, when Arnold shows up, it's terrible. And it's not because of Arnold, it's because they fucked up the timelines. They're pulling essentially, I don't know, a continuity fucked up way of doing Zelda. But that wasn't the direction. They should have stayed in the war. That's what I've been wanting. But for what we got, it was fine. You know, for the little bits of the... I would love to see somebody take all the war in the films and the rides and everything and cut it together as one film. I think that would be pretty solid. So, there's that. But yeah, now we get to Dark Fate. James Cameron has returned to the franchise. He got the rights back. He's more producing and just, like, overseeing it. I think he's just letting the scripts and directors go with what we got. And what's my opinion on it? I don't think I've ever been as conflicted with a sequel to anything as much as this. Because, okay, when I literally watched the movie. The first 10 minutes pissed me off to no end. Pissed me off. Like, I was angry. I was infuriated. I wanted to walk out. Because I was like, you stuck this low. Fuck you. You know, you went to this low to put out an agenda. Fuck you. You fucked up the continuity. The fact it came from Cameron is, like, how do you fuck this up? How do you get worse than Genesys? At first, I was just like, this is a piece of shit. This is one of the worst sequels I've ever seen. This could probably go down as one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was getting to levels of Asylum bad of how much it insulted its audience. I mean, like, because I couldn't, the first 10 minutes threw me off. It turned me off the whole movie because the rest of the film was like, what, I don't care what's happening now. I don't care what's fucking happening because you've destroyed one of the main aspects of this entire franchise that shouldn't have been a franchise to begin with. You fucked it up in the first 10 minutes because you want to pull a fast one on the audience and say, no, this is what's more important. See, I'm so mad I turned off the light. This is more important. What's going on right now in our world is more important than what is established. I've been hating this with franchises. Taking away continuity, taking away lore, mythology, everything that was set up, and basically shoving in new shit and calling it a sequel. You can't do that. You can't. If you're doing a sequel, you have to respect the continuity. I mean, I've gone as far as to say, honestly, like in the last year since it's been released, Fallen Kingdom is the worst in the franchise because of how much it disrespects the continuity and how much it was censored because of Mattel. Okay, granted, the toys are great, but, you know, that's what I mean, but I'm getting off track. You know, but so many franchises are dealing with trying to put realism in their movies. We're back to the 70s again, when movies were more grounded in realism and anti-heroes and this shit because of the political climate at the time, and now we're the exact same spot. 40 years later, we think we lived the 90s, but now we're living the 70s, and like, 90s-wise in terms of nostalgia, absolutely, goddamn-lutely. But in terms of political climates, we're back to the 70s. It's that same, you know, fuck this shit, fuck that shit, and we're gonna try to put that in our movies. I'm like, no. You put that like, why do we go to the movies? Honestly. We go to the movies to escape reality because reality sucks. Life sucks. We go to the movies to escape and go to a different world where we can have adventures and, you know, slay dragons and sword fights and gun battles and shit. Stuff that doesn't happen in real life. But what's really kind of bugging me is, is that now we're trying to get it to where we want the movie world to reflect our world. And I'm like, no, you can't do that, because this is my way to get away from it. It's like, oh, but you have to accept reality. It's like, fuck that. But on top of that, the roles are reversed. Now we're in the movie, and that's reality. And it's because of shit like Joker, and because of shit like Terminator, and shit like, I don't know, the media wants to be a movie now. It's like, I don't know, I don't want to get too much into it, because it just causes trouble. But I just came out of this movie, first thoughts was, fuck this movie, I fucking hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It's fucking garbage. Like, one of the worst sequels, and I'm like, because, you know, you set up all this promise. Linda Hamilton's back, Arnold's good, James Cameron's at the wheel, you've got the director of Deadpool. Which, this motherfucker should just stick to fucking comedies. And why does every climax and shit have to be on a bridge? But then, actually, before I'm starting recording now, I had a talk with a really good reviewer about this. And he hadn't seen the movie yet. But he was concerned of how I was talking about this film on social media. As if everybody is. You know, it's like that Pokemon skin Robot Chicken. Say the line, or you'll get the gas, but I didn't want to tolerate it. But he brought me to a logical conclusion. And it made me think about how I can appreciate this film. The way I can appreciate it, and this is the way most franchises are going now. This movie's in an alternate universe. This is an alternate timeline. I think because I was just so attached to the established continuity from 1 to 4 at least. 5 just fucked off. I just kind of wanted to keep that flow going. And the last 2 sequels haven't done that. They've just gone to more of the alternate timelines and stuff, which, to be fair, I'm okay with. I'm starting to really accept that. It's a little hard on some franchises, but I'm starting to accept that. I think the 2 movies that have really kind of helped me kind of accept, 3, actually, I'll make 3, examples of alternate realities and continuity. They're in an alternate timeline where things start. 3 films. The 2017 Power Rangers, which I didn't like, but you'll see my opinion on that in the, in my new review. The Star Trek reboot, J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, and the Joker movie. And the fact that I think, when it comes to sequels and reboots and stuff, I think maybe Hollywood's just having a really hard time what they want to do with continuity. So, what I think they're essentially doing is basically saying, hey, we want to tell our own story that takes place in the same mythology, but we're going to base it, but instead of making it canon, it's going to be an alternate universe, an alternate timeline. And in that sense, I'm okay with it, as long as later down the line you connect the dots. Another example is the Halloween reboot, the Halloween 2018, which I really enjoyed, because it ignores all the previous installments except the first one. They pull the Godzilla. But in a way, you could see that as an alternate timeline. Now, I would love to do a story about how to connect all the Halloween movies together, even though they don't make sense, but do, like, sort of an into the Halloween-verse. That's another series that does it, the Spider-Verse. We're entering that phase in franchises because we've done the crossovers, we've done the sequels, we've done the remakes. We're now entering what I'm calling the multiverse genre. And that means that these franchises can be basically adapted by anyone at any time and not be in continuity, as long as, I guess, you do some sort of Crisis, Infinite Earth kind of shit, which I'm okay with as long as it's done right. So I can accept this sequel as an alternate timeline, essentially. That's fine. And if you want to, like, you know, enjoy this, that's fine. But is it canon to me in terms of the Terminator franchise? Fuck no. This does a lot to piss off fans that have been sticking around for this long. I tried to accept Genesys for what it was, but I think for me, this is essentially the straw that broke the camel's back. So I'm really conflicted. Continuity-driven, it's fucking garbage. It's fucking terrible. If you like it, fine. For me, it's garbage. But as a standalone sort of, what if it happened here after Terminator 2, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. In that sense, if I can see it in that direction, not as a continuity with the others, which I think is what they're trying to do, I can see some good things in it. Sarah Connor is a badass. Like, she's now a lot more, much more of a cold-hearted, badass motherfucker than ever. She's great in this. I love Linda Hamilton. I've met her. She's such a nice lady. I met her and Michael Biehn actually at a con, and because I was funny because I was talking to her about King Kong Lives, and she just looked at me like, you know about that piece of crap? So, yeah, Linda Hamilton's great. Edward Furlong is kind of in it, but that would have a major spoiler, which I don't want to get into. But it is very insulting. The Terminator, Arnold, it's good. Like, I like kind of the twist with it and what they do with it. I'm trying not to get into spoilers here. I like what they kind of do, but they kind of fail to explain how what he's doing now is possible. Because he does something in the beginning of the movie, is gone for like an hour, and then we see him again, and he's like, oh, I'm doing this now. And you're like, but wait, you're a fucking robot. How are you able to fucking do that? How did this all conspire with your programming? I don't understand that. So, does that imply they have feelings now? I don't get. I assume whenever a Terminator finishes its mission, it shuts down. Or as they did in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, they had a dream sequence where a character gets killed and then the whole world explodes because the nukes happen right away because what's the point? The future's done. But I don't know. It's weird. I wish we could get something on that matter of how the T-800 went from this to this, because there's a bit of a gap there that's not explained, and how it's possible for that to happen. But, again, Arnold's great, and he's having fun. You know, he feels a little shoehorned in. Like, this is the Godzilla vs. Megalon of Terminator movies. Basically, here's a story we want to tell, but we gotta throw Arnold in here and shoehorn him in because it's more and more key value. So this is the Godzilla vs. Megalon of Terminator movies. So there's that. But the new female leads, they're okay. They're okay. They're passable. I don't like, there is a part of me, like, yeah, I'm so gripping on that old continuity that I'm like, I don't like what they're doing here, but at the same time, again, alternate timeline, if a way of to alter destiny is interesting, if you can change it from one person or another, that's okay. But in my continuity, no. There's one element of the franchise, there's a total of 2, or 3. You know, saving the future, time travel, and certain characters that are keys to these, for the franchise, or whatever, of the story. So, the way they change it around here is a little conflicting for me, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know about that, but hey, in an alternate timeline, fine. Like, and if it's on its own separate category, essentially. So, the main characters are fine. The new chick is actually kind of cool. They're kind of doing Sam Worthington from Salvation, but it's a girl now, but that's okay, she's fine. The Rev, whatever it's called, the new T-1000, okay. I did like how they went back to an R rating, and they did more violence, they went back to the first film's kind of tone, which is fine, even though it's all CGI. And those are 2 of my biggest complaints. I have 2 major complaints about this movie, aside from the big one that's a big insult. 1, these Terminator movies as of recently are using too much CGI. What was great about the first 4, they had a perfect balance of CGI and animatronics by Stan Winston. Why they're not using them in this franchise, I don't understand. At least Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom did have did learn from the first film and add practical effects. These films are not doing that, and I really don't like that they're not using full-scale T-800 animatronics or anything, or makeup, because some of it looks really bad in these new movies. The second problem I have, we're now in the 3rd film in the goddamn franchise. You are repeating Terminator 2 again! And this is my biggest problem with this franchise. They need to stop repeating 2. It's the same plot over and over again. Terminators are sent back in time, protect certain characters, chase scenes, stop Skynet. We've done this now 4 fucking times. Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Terminator Genesys, and now Dark Fate. This has to stop. Like, the reason I hold Salvation so fucking high on the list of the best, I like it more than 3. I like it more than 3, 5, and 6. Definitely better than this one. Because it did something different. It gave us what we wanted, which was the war. We want to see a Saving Private Ryan-esque film with the Terminators, but not like just bullets and shit. Like, that's the one thing Salvation kind of failed. It was mostly just bullet-driven machines. Let's go with the fucking phase plasma. You know, what does Arnold say when he goes into the gun shop? Phase plasma rifle into 40 watts range. That's just what you see, pal. You know, like, let's go to the phase plasma rifles. I want to see those. I want to see fucking lasers shooting and shit. Do a combination. Like, that's what I've been wanting for the sequels. At least Genesys with the first bit showed that. But that's why I want a whole movie around that. I want a whole trilogy about the war. Expand John Connor's character. Had they continued with Bale, I think we would have had a solid set of sequels here. But the reason that didn't happen was because Terminator Salvation, despite making good money and making well more with home video releases, was kind of a dud. Was a dud, and on top of that, the company that made it went bankrupt, and they sent it over to the Paramount who said, fuck this continuity, let's reboot it. And that's another thing. This is the 3rd time they've rebooted this thing. Just stick with a continuity, for fuck's sakes. So, I don't know, like, maybe you could have 2 Terminator timelines now. You could do a set of movies that involve the now with, you know, Sarah and shit like that. You can involve the stuff with the future war, but I'm probably going to stick with the path of the future war, because that's what I want to see. That's what I've been wanting to see. I just want to see a whole movie with just with the Phasma rifles, the full machines, going into battle. You know, just give us that, Hollywood. Why? I don't understand after... What is it? We're almost 30 years since Terminator 2. Why is that so hard to pull off as a movie? I would go watch the shit out of that. And you can make it emotional. My hope was they would connect it as a circle story where, you know the theory of circle stories, where you just start here and you go all around and you go back to the beginning. It's a repetitive cycle. But not we wanted a repetitive cycle in terms of a circle story, but not in a way where it's like, we're going to do a circle, and then we're just going to repeat the second one over and over. That's what I can't stand. I'm sorry if this is a bit of a rant on this film. I'm just so sick of franchises just not expanding on its lore, expanding on its mythology. Really, the closest I could say is Star Wars, but even then, I know Last Jedi really kind of turned a lot of people's heads. I am counting, look, even if Rise of Skywalker isn't good, at least it looks better than Last Jedi, because at least there's lightsabers fighting. At least you have characters coming back. At least you have this big battle. I don't care how obscure it is. I'm gonna go see it, and I might enjoy it. I mean, I liked Last Jedi when it came out, but over time, yeah, it has kind of lost a little value for me. Could have cut at least a half hour out. But yeah, I'm just sick of sequels and franchises just not giving a shit about its continuity, because people notice that. People notice when you change stuff like that, and it becomes a waste of time for people invested in these characters. So, I don't know, go see the movie if you want. Is it better than Genesys? Kind of. Like, kind of-ish. At least Linda Hamilton has some entertainment values. But as a sequel, as a continuing sequel of post-Terminator 2, it falls flat on its ass. Put it as an alternate timeline, but I'm gonna stick with what was... See, my Terminator movies were 1, 2, 3, and 4. For me, 5 and this one are just alternate timelines. It makes me wish we could go back and do the Salvation trilogy and get that done, but it's unlikely it's gonna happen. But, I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It feels a little lower budget and grittier, even though it's about the same price as the last few, $200 million. This does not feel like a $200 million film. This feels like... When I say it was almost as bad as an Asylum film, first of all, I do take that back. It's not that. Asylum is the worst of the barrel. Asylum is the worst. But this was just, this was pissing me off a little bit. This was almost Jurassic Park 3 levels, first time I saw it. Maybe over time it'll grow on me, who knows, unless they get lower than this. I don't know, man, I'm conflicted. Maybe I'll just wait for home video to see this thing again. You know, especially when I do get to the Terminator movies, which I do want to do at some point. But let's see how this does. I'm not counting on my money this is going to do well. I think people are pretty sick of doing the Terminator 2 formula over and over again. So unless they make a future war movie and go back to what Salvation was promising, this franchise is going to crash and burn. So, I don't know, I'd give this maybe about a 2 or 3 out of 10. Definitely one of the weakest in the franchise. It's with Genesys. Genesys and this are pretty tied as the worst. But yeah, take it for what you will and enjoy it. Me, I didn't like it. I did not care for it. I'm really happy I was able to calm myself down before I reviewed this because I was so angry. I didn't take any thought into consideration, but after talking to a friend, which thank you, I know who you are. You know who you are, thank you so much. I can take it for what it is. Because I don't like to be angry at a movie because of political change. Or because of change in things. And I don't mind change. I don't mind change with the way you do, like you have new characters or you want to establish stuff. As long as it's appropriate and respects the continuity is all I care about. You do that, you don't do that, you fucked up. This movie, if it's an alternate timeline, fine. But if you're going to consider this canon, they fucked up royally. So, there you go. There's my rant, conflicting opinion on Terminator Dark Fate. It's driving my head, it's driving me crazy. I can't tell between Genesys and Dark Fate. I don't know, stay tuned. I just wanted to get this out there because I didn't want to let you guys know about this movie beforehand. So just see it at your own risk. See it at your own risk and take it for what it is. I guess, I don't know, this coming Friday, or Halloween Day, is going to be another opening night. You're going to see Sean review Zombieland 2, which I can't remember if that's a better sequel or not, but I haven't seen the first Zombieland or any of them, so might be better. I don't know. But yeah, for me, I hate to say this, guys, this is probably the worst movie of the year for me, which is a shame, because, you know, this is James Cameron. Cameron's always been one of my favorite filmmakers. The first Terminator, Terminator 2, Titanic, and it's funny how he comes out, this is hilarious, one last thing. It's funny that Cameron comes out early this year with the best film of the year with Alita Battle Angel, and then comes around the end of the year and he has the worst movie ever with Terminator Dark Fate. That should say something. It makes me fearful of the Avatar sequels, because I don't know where they're going to go with that. But man, Cameron, you gotta make something different, man. Take over the Alien franchise. Do a Gundam movie. Can you not? Can you stop with sequels? Do another Alita. If you make another Alita, fine, because I'm invested in that. I love Alita. That was great. But stop making sequels. Stop making sequels to films we don't care about. Terminator's run its course. Avatar was okay. It was a one-off thing. It was fine. It was beautiful. Story was a little mad, but it was fine. But, I don't know, man. Do maybe an Alien, fix the Alien franchise. You might be able to fix that. Because you did Aliens, and that was great. I don't know, do another Alita, obviously. Do a Gundam movie. Hell. You know that fan trailer for Titanic 2 where they find Jack frozen in ice? Make that shit. I don't fucking care. That would be fun. I know how batshit insane that would be, but at least it would be better than the Titanic 2 by Asylum. Watch, they're gonna turn Jack into like a girl. Turns out he was a girl the whole time. Oh, but man, Cameron, you should just make Titanic 2. Titanic 2, Jack's back. I'd watch this. It'd be better than this. It'd be better than your Avatar sequels. Okay. I'm done. I'm out. I'm punching out. What are your thoughts on Dark Fate? Let me know in the comment section below. This was one of the worst of the series, but take it for what it is. It's meh. I'm conflicted. I'll see you guys later. As always, BigJackFilms signing off, saying, like, this is how tired this movie made me. BigJackFilms saying, I'll be back. But probably not, because this movie's probably going to flop. I should really make something like True Lies 2, or be in another Predator. At least I'd be more entertaining.